Some shows lean left, some lean right, but we leaned local and business. This is North Georgia Business Radio X with Bo Henderson. For the next hour, we will celebrate the businesses in our area and the people that run them. Find us on Facebook at North Georgia Business Radio X and online at northgeorgiabusinessradiox.com. Now, here's Bo Henderson.
One of the things that I find it's rare these days is to see somebody start a career, work 30 or 40 years, and then just stop and truly retire. You know, more and more, I see people, that's just kind of phase one. Then there might be a step into something different, and have conversations all the time about what is that next phase? Because if I retire in my 60s from maybe one job, maybe it's not from work. Maybe it's just what's next. I don't want to sit around for 20 or 30 years and live a life of leisure, so to speak. So, Bill, I know this is kind of the case from you. So tell me, what was your first career, so to speak?
Well, my first career was being a faculty member at University of Georgia, teaching in the speech communication department there. After earning my graduate degrees from Ohio University, I'd been fascinated with communication. As you know, I still am. In college, I guess it started with a speech course I took and also participated in dramatics, which I did a little bit of. You're
still pretty dramatic.
I'm still participating, yes.
So academics, that was first career, quote unquote, and then there was something else behind that.
Then
right?
Secondly, I became a vice president of 3 colleges and then a medical center. So the way I look at it, I studied communication for years, got the highest degrees, taught it, and then I wondered how much of this stuff really works. So I put it to the test.
Okay, now entrepreneur is kind of phase 3, right?
That's right, since 1996.
Well, I bring that up because our first guest today, I'm excited to talk about, it's an entrepreneur, it's Chess Britt, and Chess retired from a corporate setting, corporate world, and now he's talking about what's next. And I think that's a great conversation. So Chess Britt, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here, Bo. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about it. So I know you had the Primerica. You worked, that was the work for a while.
36 years is a while.
Yeah. Right. Well, tell me about that background just a little bit.
Yeah. So really my background is my dad was an entrepreneur, okay, that he retired out of the Army after 36 years, opened a fast food restaurant. So I grew up around that entrepreneurial environment. And then I went to the University of Georgia, I think like both of you did, and that I majored in accounting. And the only thing that I found out in 4 years was I didn't want to be an accountant. There you go. Okay. And that all of my summer jobs had been construction, and so I actually, the first 3 or 4 years out of college, I was building houses. And so, interest rates went to 17%, things tanked, and my best friend Rick Mathis called and say, hey, that there's an upstart insurance operation, and that he had went to work for the company, and that he said, look, I got a job for you, but you're going to have to start at the bottom. And so if you sort of look at my career, I did in fact start at an entry-level position and retired 36 years later as the chief marketing officer. Now, for a kid from Grayson, Georgia, that's pretty good.
So after the career, you retired. Now, what's the best part you're seeing about retirement so far?
Yeah, so really in retirement, the thing that I found that's amazing is the freedom of time. For the first time in forever, you can spend as much time with your family as you want to. You get to plan your own calendar. But at the same time, when I retired, I did in fact go from 100 miles an hour to 0. Okay, and so that I spent a lot of time reflecting on kind of, why I'd had some success, and I wanted to make sure that in the next phase of my life that I didn't stay at 0, that I actually lived a better life in this next phase than in the first phase. So, and that was really part of what led to the book, but it did that if as people are thinking about retirement, and even young folks, they ought to be preparing for what life ought to be like after retirement, not just the fun stuff, because I had the fun stuff down, Bo. That time with the family. I'm a season ticket holder at the University of Georgia for football, baseball, basketball, women's basketball, gymnastics.
Oh, my gosh.
I love busy just there.
Yeah. So I had that part down, but But and I actually thought that what I would do is sort of not really a second career, but a second wave to give back to others. I thought I'd figure that out in 30 days after I retired. Okay, but that wasn't the case, and so that's still sort of evolving even 3 years after retirement. And so, and one of the things is that while I was a guy who, can't type, barely can type, I have in fact written a book. It's been published, and there's a few thousand books in circulation. And so, that's one of the ways that I can give back to others, and hopefully some folks will read the book, and that there might be something that's said in the book that impact their lives, and they'll help others, and maybe this, there'll be a multiplier effect, and I'll actually do some good before I check out of this world.
Somebody else will look back and say, hey, something in that book. So the book is Seek to be Wise. It's by our guest, Chess Britt, Finding Extraordinary Wisdom in Everyday Life. So this was it sounds like this was kind of you reflecting back, and what are the principles and lessons I learned when you had some time to actually process it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
You and I know, Bo, from our own experiences that writing a book is not something you do one weekend. It's a laborious task, but it's enjoyable and it's very fulfilling, as Chess has been able to write down what he learned in a lifetime of corporate life. I remember hearing about somebody thinking a book was so easy. Somebody said to them at a cocktail party, I hear you're writing a book. And they said, oh, yes, I got the pages numbered.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
So just to respond to what Bill said, if I would have known what it took to have written a book, I probably would have never done it. Okay, just to be, totally honest about it. And really, Bill, that when I reflected on my life, the lessons that I wrote about in the book wasn't all the things that I learned in business, wasn't all the great people that I'd met, it's not that book. It's about things that you learn from my mother and father that actually shaped me,
right,
and that sort of guided me through life.
Well, we're talking to Chess Britt. The book is Seek to be Wise. I'm Bo Henderson here with Dr. Bill Lampton. You're listening to the voice of local business, North Georgia Business Radio X. Now, Chess, I'm curious. I like the title, Seek to be Wise. How did you land on that?
Okay, so you notice it didn't say I am wise.
There you go. I like it.
So I seek to be wise, and so even from the time I was a little kid. Okay, the story of Solomon always amazed me. Okay, he had the opportunity to have God grant him one thing. Okay, and he chose wisdom. And so even when I was a little kid, I used to think, I always wanted to be the quarterback at the University of Georgia. I wanted to be Fran Tarkenton and play in the NFL. And I used to have these thoughts go through my head. Did Solomon really make the right decision? If I had that chance, would I ask to be an athlete? Or if I had all the money in the world, could I solve all the world's problems? So throughout my life, I've always felt like wisdom was one of those things. Even if you're not the smartest guy in the room, if you're the wisest guy in the room, you can you can compete with folks who are a lot smarter, but really might not see some things that you see. So one of the things that I think has actually helped me in my career and in my personal life and in my spiritual life and just life in general was the fact that I always wanted to be a little wiser tomorrow than I am today. And that, over time, when I followed some of the maxims that are in that book, my life got better. When I thought I was smarter than the maxims, life got worse. And so,
so seek to be wise. What I want to do is when we get back from the break, I'd like to dig into maybe a couple of your favorite principles or excerpts there or chapters.
Okay. And
kind of dig into that, and we'll actually learn something from Chess today on the show. A lot of fun, and I love the way you phrase that. It was seek. As we're seeking together, we're learning together.
Absolutely.
So much wisdom just in that approach.
Absolutely.
I'm Bo Henderson, here with Dr. Bill Lampton. We're talking to Chess Britt, author of Seek to be Wise. Going to learn some things to apply when we come back, right here on the voice of North Georgia Business Radio X. Who couldn't use more wisdom? We're talking about the book Seek to be Wise with our guest Chess Britt. I'm Bo Henderson, here with Dr. Bill Lampton. And before we went to the break, we were talking about, let's do a learning portion of the show here. I mean, we got this great book. I love the idea of teaching wisdom and sharing wisdom as you've been attaining it, Chess. is there a story or a chapter or something that pops out that you just love to talk about in this book?
Yeah, and so one of the things that while this is so simple, it's so powerful. Okay.
Usually it is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I had a conversation with my mother one day when I was, 12 or 13 years old, and it stuck with me the rest of my life. I don't remember now what I was struggling with, but she said, "Son, do the right thing, and the rest will come out in the wash." And so throughout my life, that's been one of the things that have really that's really helped me. Whenever I did the right thing, things turned out better. When I decided, I'm not going to follow my heart, I'm not going to do what I really think's the right thing to do. I'm going to do this because it looks easier. It looks like, there won't be any fallout from this. But that never seemed to work out. So that 5-minute conversation with my mother really was one of the guiding principles that helped me in my 36-year career and in my personal life, my financial life. That regardless of what you do, that if you get a little wiser every day, you look at what you do, financial planning, it's really about taking a wise approach to someone's hopes and dreams and what they're trying to accomplish.
Right.
And so I don't care if it's your personal life, I don't care if it's your financial life, that wisdom is a great place to start, because that is the basis of all self-improvement. It is, I've read in your book where that's one of the things that you talk a lot about. It's a powerful force in life.
And I love that. So mom's wisdom. I love it. And sometimes the most powerful principles, they're the easiest, and it's do the right thing. And I love that. How many times are we faced in a stressful situation and there's a decision to be made? And how much easier and simpler does that make it if the defining factor is to ask yourself, am I doing the right thing?
Right. That I do believe in life that you make better decisions when you're guided by sound principles. So I think my mom, who was, she was the moral compass in our family, and that simple piece of advice, I'll thank her forever for that.
So that was worth the price of admission for today's show, right there.
Chess, one of the things that I think about is the older we get, the wiser we understand our parents were. And I know all of us have probably heard what Mark Twain said among his many famous statements. He said, when I was 15 years old, I couldn't believe how stupid my father was. And when I was 20, I couldn't believe how much he'd learned.
Yeah, that's sage words there, Bill, because it is, in fact, that I was blessed with wonderful parents. And my dad was, in fact, my rock, my go-to. My dad died in 2012. I miss him to this day. Okay, but my mom was always our moral compass. Dad taught us how to get along with people and taught us a lot of things about life, but mom was the moral compass. And so the combination of those two, my dad served in World War II. He lied about his age when he was 16, joined the Army, fought in the European campaign.
Some people lied about their age to stay out of it.
Yeah.
But there were those who lied so they could get in and be a part of it.
Yeah. And so, so that one of the greatest blessings of life is to have parents. And I had two of the best, because you never woke up one day or 1 minute of your life that you didn't know with certainty how much they loved you.
Well, I've said many times that the best decision I ever made was before I was born. I chose the right parents.
We're talking about Seek to Be Wise, a book by our friend and today's guest, Chess Britt. Now, Chess, I always wonder, kind of from my thinking of writing a book or marketing, who is this book for? I want listeners that you think this was written for to say, hey, maybe I should get a copy.
Yeah. So there's really two groups that, based on the feedback that I've gotten, that are the most impacted by the book, and it's really the people who the publisher said was the target audience. It's that person in their mid-20s or early 30s who their career sort of, this thing just isn't turning out like they thought they were going to turn out. And so I think there's words of wisdom in there that'll help them think about what they need to do to live a better life. And then I do think that the book, it really causes folks my age, or those 45 and older, to really think about So in my book, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm not really telling you what to do, but I am wanting you to think. I'm giving you things to think about, but really what I want you to do is think about the things in your life where you found extraordinary wisdom based on your life experiences. Life is always teaching, and the real question is, are you wise enough to learn the lessons that life's teaching? And so...
Learn the lessons and then apply them.
Yeah, you got to take some action, which is one of the things that you're big on in the messages that you've written, Bo. I mean, if you don't take action, you're not going to get much.
You just got to, a lot of stuff.
Right.
Well, let's talk. So I know we're talking about, so after the corporate, after the financial background, writing the book, but I know you're also helping entrepreneurs and doing some maybe business coaching, it sounds like. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Bo, I wouldn't call myself a business coach. I wouldn't call myself a consultant.
Okay.
I think I'm really sort of a blend of both. I get these calls all the time from these folks that want me to do consulting work with one of their clients, okay? And they want me to be a statistician or know the market. They want to know all these technical kind. I just have to tell them I'm not your guy. And so where I think I can help an entrepreneur, I came from, my dad was an entrepreneur. My career, I spent 36 years helping independent contractors build their business. And so I know the struggles that they have and that I see things from a different perspective because I've had, I grew up within the home office and work closely with the field. And so I think that in my retirement, the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, I've been able to take the things that I've learned and their entrepreneurial spirit and how they think of things, and we're able to sort of have a mind meld. And a lot of times I can get them to think a little differently about some things, and it helps them grow their business. Because I really, when I meet with an entrepreneur, the thing that I want to do is I want to help them grow their business, and so I couldn't tell you how to start your new internet company or anything like that, but I can help you with your big picture. I can help you with things that that if you're struggling with some things in your business, I might have a perspective that'll help you get things on track.
Well, and talk about that in life now. Now we're talking about seeing somebody with collaboration, co-creation, sharing wisdom, reach their goals. How fulfilling is that?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Well, I know, so we talked about this book, but I know you're not just resting there. I know you got some other things in the work. So you got another book on the way, or what's next?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, if I'd known what it took to write a book, I'd have probably never done it. But the thing that the reason why I decided to write another book is that, I have reached a few thousand people. I hope by the end of the year I've reached, thousands more people. Okay. But that I actually read this book. I read a chapter of this book every morning, not because I think I'm so smart or that I've wrote such a good book, but it reminds me of things that I need to do. And more than that, I can read this book and know if I die tomorrow, okay, that my grandkids and their kids will actually know something about their pops. And so to me, the thing that I didn't set out to do this, okay, but that I do believe I'm going to have a legacy that I can leave to my children if nothing else happens, if nobody else ever, but my goal isn't just to do that. My goal is, and so my first book, I wrote about the things that I thought helped me in life. And then as I continue to reflect on life, then my second book, I want to talk about the things that if I would have doubled down on, if I would have done more, if I would have done differently. I know, Bill, you and I were talking about before the show that early in my career, I wished I would have taken advantage of every opportunity to speak and to communicate with others, but I didn't do it. I mean, I tried to avoid all that kind of stuff. And if I would have doubled down on that, then it would have made a huge difference in the trajectory and speed of my career.
I'm excited about what's next. I'm excited to finish reading this, The Seek to Be Wise. I've looked through some of it, Chess. Now, somebody listening that, hey, maybe I should get a copy. This sounds interesting. Best way to get in touch with you or find the book?
Okay, the book's available wherever books are sold. It's in audio. It's in electronic format. You can find out more about me at chessbritt.com. And you can also order the book there. If you go to your local bookstore, the book probably won't be in stock, but they can order it for you if you like to do business with them, or you can order it off of off of Amazon.
Well, that's Chess Britt with Seek to Be Wise. Thanks so much for being on the show. When we come back, we're going to talk to El Tacoman, Bill. I'm real excited.
I'll bet you are.
From wisdom to food, my favorite. When we come back right here on North Georgia Business Radio X. So we've had some good tips on timeless principles with our guest Chess Britt, and now we're going to transition to one of my favorite topics. It's food. I'm Bo Henderson here with Dr. Bill Lampton, and we have our guest Manny Carrillo and Katie Elskew with El Tacoman. And guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, what do you think? We're going to transition to food.
Well, already had some good samples.
That's right. Just before the show, full disclosure, I had a quesadilla, had a couple tacos. The whole radio staff had some food, and guys, the feedback across the board was 2 thumbs up.
Awesome.
Well, tell us a little bit about El Tacoman, just the big picture.
We'll start off?
No.
Well, basically, I started off in 2016 here in Georgia.
Okay.
I've been doing this since California. Actually, I started when I was a firefighter. We came home from a fire. We came back to the station from a fire, and the cooking staff was kind of lazy that day and gave us plain hot dogs and French fries. And we were really hungry, and I called my mom and asked her what's the recipe for carne asada, and she gave it to me and whipped up some tacos. And the guys were like, "You should be making tacos instead of fighting fires." And here I am now.
There you go. Well, that's what started it. Well, tell me, so in Gainesville, I met you, specifically, Manny, working out at Wild Wings as a bouncer.
Yes.
So where did that transition come from? That's a little bit different gig.
Oh, it is very different. Well, I got tired of just doing the bouncing thing, and people were asking, about food trucks and pop-ups, and they were really not allowed. And then I came to the city marshal, and I presented my idea, and they said, "All right, well, let's do a dry run with the health department. If they like it, we'll do it." And they went for it, and I went from setting up on the square to going to wineries, breweries, schools in Gainesville. And then it was time for me to let go of the security shirt. And I met Katie around that time in 2019, the summer. And we were both affected by the pandemic, and we decided just to go full-blown with the restaurant. She worked as a server, bartender, bar manager, and I was doing security, just this Tacoman, which was really a part-time gig.
And yeah, so you went all in. So that was my question. I was thinking about that. Katie, now, I've known Manny for a while now. What made you go all in with this character and say, "I want to do this"? That personality.
I love his personality, yes. He's hilarious, and he's actually very, very, very creative. His ideas are amazing. And being in the industry as long as I have, and him too, I just thought with our experience, we have something we could really grow into something big.
Yeah, and I'm sure it helps not just being a one-man show, too.
Oh, yes.
Well, you're in an industry that has been exceptionally challenged the last 16 or 18 months, and the fact that you survived, and it seems you, as they're saying, you pivoted some, you went in a different direction. It's quite a credit to you that you stayed, and not only stayed, but you're prospering.
Yeah, what did you experience during the pandemic? I'm curious. Was it a big...
It was different. We were sitting around the house talking about what we're going to do, because, Wild Wing Cafe, they didn't need a security guard around. It was March, the St. Patty's weekend, and I had to cancel a lot of gigs. And we sat around and we cooked and explored the menu. We had a good talk about it and be like, "Hey, they're going to let us open back up in June. Do you want to do this?" And she says, "Yeah, let's do this." And because when I started the business, it was only just tacos. Just steak, chicken, and chorizo. That's it. And slowly I was putting in quesadillas, and now I have tacos, TJ dogs, the hangover dog, a crunchadilla, which is a crunchy quesadilla, almost like the Taco Bell
Crunch Wrap,
but better. And we just kind of decided, we're gonna go with this full blown, and we've been lucky.
Are you seeing things are pretty much open back up now, or is it kind of still building back to normal?
Oh,
I think it's building back to normal.
Okay.
I'm going to insert myself here really quickly. I think something that really is interesting that's happening in the restaurant industry right now is that we're seeing an evolution. Like, a lot of people don't know, but there's something called ghost kitchens. Ghost kitchens are working out of kitchens like Chili's. They're renting part of their space, and they're doing all-to-go food out of the back of their kitchens, sometimes 2 and 3 different restaurants. Like, there's a Chili's in Snellville, because that's where we're in Gwinnett, that has 2 different kitchens that work out of there as to their own kitchen serving their public. And then there's also another thing called Prep Atlanta, and it's basically a food court and commissary for businesses like us to be able to grow, but from a smaller scale, so you're not having that major investment into a huge building. It's really been interesting. I think that we're going to see a lot of really amazing ideas and everything come from this time. Our industry will survive.
No, and I love that. Anytime we go through something hard, creative people figure out new things and opportunities from that. So that's exciting to hear. There's some things.
There's going to be a lot of pop-ups and food trucks more often. There is a little obstacle with some counties, some cities. Oh, they don't like it, or it's only limited to certain events. But now everybody wants to jump on board about it. And
well, I'm guessing that's the big advice. If somebody said, I want to do something like this, is make sure it's allowed and it's zoned, or you could spend a lot of money and get burned.
Well, and make sure you have your license and your insurance and do all the things, to maintain a legitimate, business.
Who are your customers?
All over Atlanta. We have a lot of customers. We go to a lot of breweries, wineries.
We have a lot of teachers.
Doctors. A month ago, we were catering for a North Hall baseball team.
So it can be an event. It could just be a private party.
It could be a private party. Okay. It could be a public event.
We do all kinds. We always say there's nothing too small or too big for us.
For August 28th, we're doing a car show at the Rowing Center.
Okay.
And they're expecting 3,000 people.
Yeah, we did a Harley Davidson's Rockabilly Fest in
the Rockabilly Rumble.
Yeah, in Clarksville. Cartersville. We go so many places. It's hard to keep it all straight. But
well,
yes.
you mentioned a doctor, for example. Maybe a doctor wants to treat his staff, honor them for their good work through the long hours and everything we've gone through over the last 16 or 18 months. So they want to throw a little festivity for them.
And we do stuff like that. We've been to dentist's office. I've been to Long Street clinics before and set up and done, food for the staff.
We did Fox Factory a few times.
Yeah, the new factory here, Fox, we did that.
Yeah.
We used to do Food Truck Friday at the hospital, but that ended 2020. And they're kind of working on bringing it back up. But yes, the hospital staff, they love our food, and we've been there many, many times. And we just did a doctor's birthday party, didn't we?
We also do like community pool parties, We'll have neighborhoods ask us to come in and just pop up and sell food to the,
So what's that process? So say I have a party coming up. Is it website, phone call? How do we find out?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. That's going to be where, I'm working on the Google thing. A lot of people have been telling me.
We do need to get a website.
A lot of people have been telling me that all they do is look up
Google,
Tacoman or Taco Truck, and boom, I pop up.
And it's officially El Tacoman.
El Tacoman.
All right. Well, just real quick, a couple people listening, and you hit on some of it. What are some favorites, or describe if you're coming out to my party, what's kind of the package or offering here? If you had to go with, here's the 3, 4, 5 things we're going to do at the party.
Okay, for parties, a lot of times, like, we did tons of graduation parties and birthday parties this year, but it depends on what our customer wants or the client wants. A lot of times we'll be like, do you want tacos, rice and beans? And so if they're like, yeah, that's what we want, we'll do one of each taco. We do all you can eat tacos, rice and beans, and guacamole, is usually a really standard party thing to do.
You kind of customize a menu. We
can customize it pretty much. However, like for example, the doctor who hired him, he wanted hot dogs too, and so we just added that into the cost, and he was fine with it.
Okay, so it's just kind of customized. We're talking to Manny and Katie with El Tacoman. I'm Bo Henderson here with Dr. Bill Lampton. You're listening to North Georgia Business Radio X, the voice of local business. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about your connection to this food and then maybe what's next. Right here on North Georgia Business Radio X. We're talking about parties, get-togethers, events, and one thing that's going to come up is you're probably going to need to feed people at these things. We're talking to Manny Carrillo and Katie Eliscu from El Tacoman, and we've been talking about the food truck and the business, but we're talking about El Tacoman, and I want to talk specifically, guys. I know you have a connection to this street food. You're calling it Mexican street food. Tell me a little bit about it, because you said where you come from, and you can say where that is, people know if this is the real deal.
Well, I'm from Santa Ana, California, which is in Orange County.
Right.
And you have taco stands everywhere in the downtown area. The way people look for street food in Santa Ana is very particular. You drive down the street and you look down the alley. If you see a truck with a bunch of people, that's a good truck.
Okay.
Then you go to Tijuana, where Katie's from Chula Vista, and it's a lot different over there. You go to nightclubs, bars, and it's closing time and you're hungry, and you got two choices. Either you got your Tijuana dog or you have your street taco. And what else am I missing to have out there?
I mean, I think that's really the major standard.
That's the root of it.
But I mean, it's also very regional in Mexico. I have an aunt who moved to the Morelia, Michoacan. She raised her family there. And when we would go down to visit her, there were vendors that would literally make like fresh potato chips on the street, and they squeeze lime all over them and tahini, and they're delicious. I crave those sometimes. I wish that we could do that. So it's regional in Mexico too. It depends on where you go. Like if you head down the Baja, you're going to head into Rosarito Beach. There's going to be a lot of seafood, that kind of thing.
A lot of fish tacos.
A lot of fish tacos.
Well, at the break, you guys were telling me that people will ask if you're from California. And when they find that out, they'll be like, okay, then I'll buy some food.
They'll walk up to the line, see the menu, ask us what we have, and they'll be like, are you from California? And I was like, yes. And they'll be like, all right, we need to get on this line. And then they'll wait 40 minutes. And
or they'll ask, do you put cheese on your tacos or something? I mean, they'll just know that.
All right. Katie went ahead. She jumped ahead for my next question, okay?
Sorry.
This one's tough. No. Thank you for queuing it up. It's, I was looking and talking with you guys, and you said, unless you ask special requests, you don't do cheese. Tell me about that.
It's never been on the menu. It's a very authentic. It's very basic taco. It's a real simple taco. It's just your salsa verde, your roja, either hot or mild, your lime, your cilantro, your onion, your protein, and there you go.
So what I'm hearing, if it tastes good enough, you don't need the cheese.
You don't need the cheese.
There you go.
And a lot of times it's very hard for, vendors on the streets to have cheese and control.
Well, and it's such an American idea to have cheese on tacos, but really authentic tacos aren't served with cheese.
But yes, we do have customers that want the real deal, and they'll be like, do you put cheese on your tacos? Like, we do it on the quesadillas. Like, all right, as long as you don't put it on the taco.
One of the things I'm curious about, I've been to Mexico on vacation 4 different times and love the cuisine. One of the things I'm curious about is there a distinction between what you serve from your taco truck and what we would get in a typical Mexican restaurant?
Yes.
Definitely.
Especially it depends where you go in Mexico. You go more to Cancun, the resorts, you're going to have more your Tex-Mex, something more, Americanized, more familiarized. You go more into deep South Mexico, then you're going to hit the taco stands where you're going to be like, they'll have 5 different kinds of meat, and you'll be like, what is that? And they'll be like, lengua. So what is lengua? Beef tongue. And you're like, oh. which beef tongue is delicious, and I want to put it on the menu soon.
It is delicious. It's my
Pot
favorite.
rolls. It tastes like pot rolls.
Beef tongue. Wow.
Yeah, you get all your crazy, your tripe, your head tacos, and you don't see that much at the resorts. It's very region how it is. There's people out there that really go and dig and find the food trucks. Like I said, the best way to find a food vendor is you drive down and you look down the alleys, and if you see at nighttime a little car with a little old lady and
all kinds of
a
people.
lamp and an
big
umbrella,
lamp, a big line, right?
and a big line,
Right.
she probably has one of the best hot dogs you ever tasted in your life.
Well, so when you shifted from working, getting a paycheck at Wild Wings to now doing this, now you're a business owner. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, that's a little different.
Oh, it's a lot different.
Yeah.
It's a lot better.
Yes, I was very nervous when I first started. I just didn't know where I was going to go with it, and then, I did it by myself. My dad helped me out a lot. I'm sure a lot of people have seen my dad on the taco stand, and that's pretty much where we get the recipe from. And like I said, last year,
They still help a lot.
they still help a lot. They still cook our salsa. Typically, they always kind of make the salsa for us. My mom refuses me make the salsa because she says I make it too hot. She says you just make it too hot. And then Katie jumped aboard, and we've been just rocking and rolling and really killing it.
Well, I think a lot of people when they go to entrepreneurship or owning a business, they think time freedom. Finally, I don't have to go into these hours I have to work. Then you realize you're probably going to work more than you ever did before.
Yes.
But at least you're building something you believe in and love. So,
Well,
That's exactly what it's about. Put the blood, sweat, and tears in now, and hopefully later we can benefit from that.
right.
I love bouncing. Don't get me wrong. I love doing the security work. But still, you work a couple hours a night, a couple hours a week, and then you're off the rest of the week.
Well, your line gets long enough at the stand, you can start bouncing at the taco.
I felt like I had to do that a few
You've had
times.
to.
One of the things I'm thinking about is where you talked about somebody was a little bit repulsed by what the food was. You mentioned tongue of some kind.
Beef tongue.
And I was thinking, if you think when you sit down at a meal, anything that was live, what you're dining on, it doesn't have to be something exotic. I mean, if you think about any food I could mention, there might be a reason you could say, "Gee, I'm offended by that."
Well, chorizo, for example. A lot of people don't know what chorizo is. It's delicious. I grew up on it. I love it. And I prefer over steak sometimes. And some people look at it like, what is that? It's like, Mexican pork sauce. It's just like, I've never had it before. And Katie will give them a sample.
I insist they try it because a lot of people have the misconception that it's really hot and spicy, and it's very spiced, but it's not hot spicy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're talking to Manny and Katie with El Tacoman. I'm Bo Henderson here with Dr. Bill Lampton. You're listening to North Georgia Business Radio X. Now, my question is this, and this is great if this is it El Tacoman, or is there plans down the road to be El Taco Men?
Well,
expansion plans. That's my question.
We do have plans on that.
Okay.
We want to do a shipping container idea with a patio atmosphere.
Okay.
That's what we've been bouncing around in our head, is something like that. And do kind of like a boutique taco stand. I've been very involved in the bar world for a long time. I love craft cocktails, so I'd really like to expand and have a nice craft cocktail menu with classic Mexican cocktails.
Oh, nice. So you could offer both out of the same.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We even have the name for the sister already.
Oh, really? Can you share it, or is it still?
You share it.
It's called Tacos de la Reina.
Okay.
The Queen's Tacos.
Oh, I like it.
So that's going to be more of a little craft bistro atmosphere.
A little classier, let's be fair.
Yeah. Between that, we're going to do the shipping container first.
Well, tell me about what do you mean by that?
We want to get a shipping container, gut it out. Well, they're going to be gutted out, but build a kitchen inside of the shipping containers, cook inside the shipping container,
right,
and then have people walk up to it. We'll cut out a window or a door, and
even maybe have a bar along that window.
Window, so people could kind of sit there and kind of see everybody cooking in there. It's not going to be sealed. We want everybody to see us cooking and getting down and all that, and have more like an atmosphere, like a patio atmosphere, kind of hang
like
outside.
A mobile restaurant almost.
Well, and the thing about the shipping containers is because the restaurant industry is so shaky, I guess is the word I would use right now since the pandemic, you can add another container to the top of it. You could add a dining room if you wanted to, but we're really trying to go with a more outdoor concept because we don't know what the future holds as far as this pandemic stuff goes.
Got it. Yeah. So this is vision casting. Any other next steps or next plans, or just really busy coming up with the summer?
The summer, we got to get through the summer because the summer's really busy right now. We have a lot of private gigs coming up in July. The shipping container is going to be more of the bigger focus next year. We do want to get more equipment for the taco stand right now.
Got it. Well, first I want to say thank you so much for the food, guys. It was good.
You're welcome.
We had tacos, quesadillas. Manny, you had the hangover dog. You want to describe what that is real quick?
Yeah, she's better at doing that.
Okay. It's a bacon-wrapped Angus beef hot dog. It has grilled peppers and onions, ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, relish, and then it is finished with hot or mild salsa, if you prefer, and cilantro. That would be the TJ dog. The hangover dog is that dog exactly, but it has chorizo on it as well.
Well, on that note, while everybody's thinking about that, maybe even a little salivating about that, look up El Tacoman, social media, online. Guys, thanks so much for being on the show. Katie, Manny, I'm Bo Henderson. You've been listening to North Georgia Business Radio X with my buddy Bill Lampton. We'll see you next week, same time, same place.
You've been listening to North Georgia Business Radio X with Bo Henderson. What local business do you know that should be highlighted on our program? Let us know. Just search North Georgia Business Radio X on Facebook or contact Bo at businessradiox.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time. And remember to support our local businesses.